I do personal injury law, and I'm a litigation attorney at Farah Farah, and I practice in the state of Florida. Well, I decided to become an attorney because I'm passionate about helping people. I've always cared about others. I've always wanted to make a difference in the lives of individuals. And as a personal injury attorney, I'm able to do that. I'm able to help people with their problems, as opposed to being in a corporate law environment where you're filling out papers and pushing paperwork. I have the opportunity to really help people with their problems and be a problem solver for those that I represent. What I love about Farah Farah is that I have great resources available to me. We have a lot of different, very experienced attorneys, and so that's always helpful. The other thing that's helpful is having the resources available to me at all times. Well, I would say a few things. I think as an attorney, you have to be passionate about what you do, and you really have to care about your client and what the end result is for your client. If you care, you're going to work harder. You're going to be there for them. You're going to show empathy. I have a hard time having a clinical relationship with my clients. I always give my clients my cell phone. Usually by the end of the case, they view me as a friend or as a family member. So that's difficult for me to maintain a clinical boundary. I'm all about helping people and caring about them. And when you think of someone as a friend or as a family member, you're going to be more involved and more engaged in what you're doing to really make a difference and to really help them. And so the other thing I think that makes a big difference is that willingness to work hard, to go the extra mile. And that's really what matters in a personal injury case. When you're passionate about what you do, you do whatever you have to do to really help that client. The first thing that I tell clients is that we are in a relationship together, and that they really have to be able to trust me, and I have to be able to trust them. And it's something that we work together on in helping them with their case so that they get justice for the injuries that they've been through and the suffering that they've been through. And I think that's very helpful to my clients to realize that we're in this together. It's not just their case. I'm there with them. It's our case. We'll work together. I'll help them. I'll do everything I can for them. And so that's one thing that I think is really important for clients to understand is you really have to trust your attorney. You have to, in order to trust your attorney, you have to feel like you have a relationship with them and that you know them and you know who they are. I think the legal process is very complicated, and as a litigation attorney, I find that often people don't understand why we do certain things or the time involved or what is even the process of litigation. And so I find that when you have enough time to spend with a client and really sit down with them and speak with them about what the process is and what they're going to face and help them understand what the process is, I think that's something that can really help with the struggle, especially in litigation. I'd also say that another thing that people struggle with is just the basics. How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to feed my family? What doctors am I going to see? How am I going to be treated? And so, those answers always are very personal and depend on every situation. And so having an attorney that will sit down with you and take the time to explain with you and help you with those issues is very important in choosing the right firm. Well, the best piece of advice that I could give a client is really two things. One, you have to be patient with the process. It can take some time, especially in litigation. where we are at the mercy many times of the judge's schedule. And so I think that's very important. I'd say the other thing that is very important is to listen to your attorney. We have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience as an attorney. I have been practicing for almost 14 years now. And when the client will trust you and listen to you and follow instructions, things just go so much better for the client's case and for the end result. So my work style, when I first get a new client, I want to make sure that I sit down with the client. I always prefer to sit down with the client face to face and really understand what their needs are and understand what they are going through. And with that information, that helps me form a strategy in my mind and with the client eventually as to what we need to do to really help them. And so I think that's kind of the first step. The second step is implementing a plan. In litigation, you have to have a strategy. I love strategy games. I love chess. I love anything that has to do with strategy. And so by having a plan in place for a client and following that plan, that will lead to the best success for the client. So for my free time, when I have free time, I'm married, I have 3 children, and so most of my free time is dedicated to them. I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and so we love to travel. We just went to Washington, D.C. and saw all the great sights there. I also love to read. I was a philosophy major, and I love books about philosophy and religion. And one kind of odd thing is I also love to work with my hands. I love gardening, I love flowers, and so people are often surprised when I tell them that that is one of my biggest hobbies. I love to volunteer in the community and really give back to Jacksonville. My family, we are very engaged in our church, and I donate probably about 10 to 15 hours a week in volunteer time to my church. And through my church, we do a lot of projects that also help the community, and that's something that I love that my kids are involved in giving back, and that they know that they live in a greater community where we need to help other people that are struggling. One other thing is my daughter actually has a speech impairment, a severe speech impairment. And so I've been very active in the rights of the hearing and speech impaired. And so we try to give back to those organizations that help children that suffer with things that my daughter suffers with. You should choose Farah Farah to represent you because they have attorneys that will care about you, they'll work hard for you. We have the resources to be able to fight these huge insurance companies and really make a difference in the result of your case.